right, let's get caught up.
Okay, so this is what did ancient humans do with their first heartbreak? So I was just going through it, and I was like, all right, because I was immediately my first thought is like, imagine working through a heartbreak. So that sucks, right? But now imagine you have to go hunt down a fucking woolly mammoth, and your favorite bad bitch in the colony you just found sucking off fucking your best friend.
It puts you in a bad spot because, like, am I supposed to bring this shit back and not feed homeboy? Like, that's bad
Yeah, we're a
community.
tribe. What if I need his
I'll
meat
get.
later?
She needed his meat.
Damn, bro. Oh god, that's got to be 10 times worse than what we're doing. We're so lucky now.
Yeah, that's bad. That's bad juju.
Okay, before we start the video, go look at my stream setup. Tell me that's not nice.
YouTube?
Yep.
Humbo Bahumbo. Let's search that.
Tell me that's not a clean setup.
Pretty crispy.
The video, go look at my stream setup. Tell me that's not nice.
That's crispy. Got the waves and shit behind it for the extra space, so it's not stretched like a third grade PowerPoint. That's clean.
Crispy.
I like it.
Yeah. All right, let's get to reaction. Hold on, let me get my blunt real quick.
I get ready for this. Get that video.
Tombo Bahombo. Timothy Bartholomew. Every moment is a comedic moment.
Okay, we're ready.
All right, let's get it. All right, you ready?
Oh no,
What happened?
my beer knife is downstairs.
Go get it.
Nah, I don't want to go. I'll find something else.
Go get it. I was gonna post on Snapchat that we're live. See if we can get some more viewers in
Yeah, it's okay. It's more about the stairs than it is the time crunch.
here. And that is a fucking something that you have to like really pay attention to, huh? Because you got to go up and down them stairs if you forget something.
Yeah, which I mean, like, obviously I'm capable. I'm not that gross, but like, do I want to for something, minor? No, I don't. So we get to explore our other options today. I got an M16 lighter. I'm gonna try that.
An M16 lighter?
Yeah, it's like a
Where did you
drill
get
lighter.
that?
I forget, but there's not a single sharp point on this thing, so let's see what happens. If this works, it's not sustainable because it's taking me forever to crack one. Okay, yeah, we're only doing that once.
Oh, I'm just posting that we're live to see if we can get some viewers. All right. What did ancient humans do with their first heartbreak? You ready, baby?
In 2007, archaeologists in Italy
Can't hear
uncovered
nothing.
2 skeletons buried
No,
5.
I can't hear the
Video?
I can hear you fine.
Okay.
In 2007, archaeologists in Italy uncovered 2 skeletons buried 5,000 years ago, face to face, arms locked around each other. They had been holding on like that since the Stone Age. Today I want to ask a question that doesn't usually make it into archaeology textbooks. Not how ancient humans hunted, not how they built, but what they did the first time someone they loved stopped loving them back. Because the evidence is there, we've just never been taught to look for it. Heartbreak doesn't fossilize. There is no bone marker for a broken heart, no artifact labeled grief. Which is why, for a long time, archaeologists barely asked the question. They asked what ancient humans ate, what tools they carved, how they hunted, built, fought, survived. Nobody was asking what it felt like to watch someone you loved choose someone else. But the human brain doesn't change quickly.
I love how I can just tell that this is all AI generated. Like, as he came up with the prompt, or he came up with like the whole dialogue, and then he was like, all right, I gotta fill in the pictures. And you can see where he was like filling in, like I could tell what, it's almost like I can see the words that he was using to get the images to pop up.
Yeah.
Neural architecture responsible for attachment, longing, and loss took hundreds of thousands of years to build, and it was finished long before written history began, which means somewhere, on a riverbank, in a cave, beside a dying fire, 40,000 years ago, 80,000 years ago, longer, a human being felt their chest cave in the exact same way yours did the first time it happened to you. They just had no name for it, no song on the radio, no friend to call, only the fire and the silence after it. In 2010, researchers at Stony Brook University put people who had recently been rejected by a partner into an MRI scanner. They showed them a photo of the person who left. The brain activity that lit up was almost identical to the brain activity of someone in physical pain. The same circuitry that processes a burn.
That's tough. Imagine being hungry and being in a pain that you can't even explain as a Neanderthal. And you're hungry, bro. Maybe they weren't hungry. I feel like most food cravings come from like probably sugar nowadays. More addicted to like sugar. Because, like, I noticed this with my kids, like, they stop eating quick.
I think it's fair to say that a lack of food is a leading cause of hunger.
No, but I mean, like, usually when, like, okay, so I say this because whenever like my kids are eating, they naturally like stop eating earlier, and I feel like we force them to eat more,
Yeah.
you know, and that's not good. That's just building up like an addiction, and I think that's mostly sugar.
Right.
You close my door? Thank you.
Also to consider, I don't know if you've ever tried keto, went into full ketosis or anything. There's a long period where you're just not hungry, and even whenever you do eat, you eat like you're not like forcing yourself to eat, but it's just a sustainable amount.
Right.
So if you're just, they call it caveman diet, you know. So if you're caveman on caveman diet, there's a less desire to eat just in general on that. And that is like cutting out the sugars, the carbs, starches, whatever. Anything that like really, I guess, inhibits that advanced bodily motion,
You
your
know
internal
what?
body function.
I feel like most of the heartbreaks for Neanderthals was just staring at sunsets.
Yeah.
Like an unexplainable pain.
Burn, a broken bone, a deep cut, processes heartbreak. This wasn't poetry, it was neuroscience. Researchers had accidentally confirmed something humans seem to have always known without the data to prove it, that heartbreak isn't a metaphor. It is, biologically, a wound. And here's the part that should stop you. This system, the one that makes losing someone feel like physical injury, isn't a flaw, it's a feature. Evolutionary biologists believe attachment pain evolved specifically to keep early humans bonded to their group.
And this one, he's like, all right, can you create cavemen sitting down around a fire and draw some lines to show that they're like connected somehow, but like spiritually?
And then the AI got out of hand and made like kind of quasi Vikings.
Yeah, none of the Vikings are consistent.
In a world where survival depended entirely on the people around you, losing...
All right, same image, just make it darker with eyes around it.
Central light focus around campfire.
Let's keep going. What the lines like dropped into like small snakes, and they had to hold it. Like AI was like, I guess we'll just make them hold the lines you were talking about.
A bond
Okay.
wasn't just sad, it was dangerous. The body needed a reason to fight to keep people close, so it built one, pain. So if heartbreak is ancient, did our ancestors leave anything behind that shows it? The answer, it turns out, is yes. We've just been digging past it for over a century. The Lovers of Valdaro, discovered near Mantua, Italy in 2007. Two skeletons from the Neolithic period, roughly 5,000 to 6,000 years old, buried together, facing one another, arms wrapped around each other in an embrace that survived longer than most civilizations. Researchers couldn't determine with certainty whether they died together or were buried together long after, arranged that way deliberately by someone who loved them. Either answer tells you something. Someone, thousands of years ago, decided that the last thing this person should feel, forever, was held. We find this pattern again
Oh, that's
and again.
deep.
Burials in Russia, in Israel, in China, spanning tens of thousands of years, where bodies weren't simply discarded, they were positioned, curled like sleep.
What if at the end of this we're just crying?
I've already gotten ready for it.
Damn, bro, like, please, like, you know, if I die first, bro, like, can you make sure that I'm being held? Please,
Of
bro,
course.
just on some real shit.
Yeah, of course.
If you could.
Surrounded by ochre, the color of blood, the
That
color
seems
of
nice.
life, adorned with shell beads that would have taken days to make. You don't spend days making jewelry for a body you didn't love. Archaeologist April Now, who has spent decades studying Paleolithic burial practices, has argued that these graves are some of the clearest evidence we have of something almost too intimate to study, the emotional inner life of people we usually only describe in terms of tools and survival. The bones tell us how they died. The arrangement around the bones tells us how much they were loved. But not every heartbreak ends in death. Most don't. Most of the time, the person you loved is still alive, still breathing, just gone from you. And that kind of loss leaves no skeleton, no grave, nothing for archaeologists to
Not
find.
dead,
So
but
how do
dead
we
to
know
you.
our ancestors felt this too? We look sideways. We look at the people who still live the way they did. Among the Hadza of Tanzania, one of the last populations on Earth, still living a foraging life similar to our deep ancestors, anthropologists have documented something striking. Romantic partnerships form and dissolve regularly, and when they do, there is no shame attached to it, no social punishment, no concept of being left behind. The community simply absorbs the person back in. They are fed, they are seated by the fire, they are spoken to exactly as they were the day before. Anthropologist Frank Marlowe, who lived among the Hadza for years, documented that a person going through heartbreak was never left to grieve alone. There was no privacy to retreat into, no bedroom door to close, which sounds,
Yeah.
to modern ears, almost unbearable. But Marlowe
I see what he's saying here. So, like, back in the day, there was no secluding or like separating yourself to be able to feel your grief. You were immediately pretty much got over it naturally because you were always around people, anyways.
Yeah.
If it was
Made it.
completely unsafe not to be around people constantly.
Made it a social bird.
Yeah, so you probably got over it much quicker. That's an immediate move for me, bro. I go through a heartbreak, bro, and
Are
then
you
just
fading out
imagine
on
me
it right now?
disappearing. Just imagine me disappearing.
Oh shit! Whoa.
Yeah. If I go through a heartbreak, I'm secluding immediately.
Yeah.
So that makes sense.
Also observed something else. Heartbreak among the Hadza seemed, in many cases, to pass more quickly and cut less deep than it often does in societies built around isolation, because the moment it happened, they weren't alone with it. Here's where this gets difficult to sit with. For most of human history, heartbreak happened in public. It happened by firelight, in front of everyone. It happened in a band of 20 or 30 people who all knew exactly what you were going through, because most of them had been through it too. Somewhere along the way, as we built houses with separate rooms, as we built cities full of strangers, as we built lives where you could go days without anyone noticing you were unraveling, we took something away from ourselves. We made heartbreak private, and privacy, when it comes to pain, isn't always a kindness. Psychologist John Cacioppo spent his career studying loneliness, and found something that should unsettle anyone who has ever grieved alone in a quiet apartment. The brain registers chronic loneliness using stress pathways nearly identical to physical threat, which means the version of heartbreak most common today, scrolling alone, replaying a message, lying in a dark room with no one beside you, might be biologically harder than the version your ancestors experienced around a fire full of people.
I don't know, bro. I think it's much worse sitting around a fire with a bunch of people that I know. Like, if I was sitting around a fire with a bunch of people, my family right now, dealing with a heartbreak, I'd fight all of them.
Yeah.
They're not going to make
Same.
me feel better.
Yeah, but that's because my family sucks.
Yeah, but doesn't everybody, like, pretty much everybody feels that way to a certain degree? I mean, probably not as much as some people, but, I mean, to a certain degree, you kind of, like, I feel like pretty much everybody, that's, like, how you play life. Like, you grow up with your family to a certain age, you hit that certain age, and then you go explore, and then you realize how important family is, even though you hate them, kind of, and you go back. And you kind of play a good balance of being in and out.
Did you just spark note The Lion King at me, dog? Is that what you just did?
I mean, name the movie.
Are we all Simba?
I mean, that's just what it is. That's just what happens. It's human nature.
Yeah, to an extent.
I mean, even though I hate them, I'd still fight for them. But I'd also fight them if I was in a campfire like this.
Right. Yeah. If we're in the confines of like our tribe, I will fight everybody here. But as soon as there's external forces, I will fight and move mountains to protect each person here.
Yeah, and
like,
as soon as I get done with them, I'm whooping y'all's ass.
Yeah, because I didn't pick that shit.
Yeah, 100%. But dealing with a heartbreak, bro, they'd be in there making fun of me, bro. They would not make me feel better. I'd feel worse. Thank God I fucking live here now.
People who
I'd be like the loneliest night ever, dude. I'm literally all of the fucking memes.
I am Sonder.
Yeah, just by himself. and miserable. It's not like I want to be there. I'm putting myself there. There are other options. I'm choosing this one.
Yes.
seen it before. Not because the loss is bigger, but because the support around it has nearly vanished. I keep coming back to those two skeletons in Italy, 5,000 years in the ground, still holding on. We don't know their names. We don't know if they died of illness or violence or simply old age within hours of each other. We don't know if their love was easy or if it was the kind that nearly broke them first. But somebody, either them in their final moment or someone who loved them after, made a choice. They chose to be found this way, not separately, not facing away, together. In a world with no internet, no phones, no way to send a message across distance, they figured out the one thing that mattered most, that love, even when it ends, even when it breaks you first, is worth being remembered for. Every burial like this one tells archaeologists something practical. Diet, disease, migration, trade. But every now and then, the evidence does something else. It tells us that grief is not a modern invention, that loneliness is not a contemporary disease, that somewhere in the deep past, a person sat by a fire after being left, and felt exactly what you've felt. And the difference between them and us was never the depth of the wound. It was who was sitting nearby when it happened. Your first heartbreak felt like the only one in the world. It wasn't. It happened in the Stone Age. It happened in caves lit by fire, in Bronze Age villages, in Roman cities, in medieval towns. In every single century, someone forgot to write down. The body you carry today was built by people who survived heartbreak without therapy, without language for it, without anyone telling them it would get easier. They survived it anyway, and somewhere in your blood is the proof. That's where the evidence takes us. And I won't pretend that researching this one didn't sit with me for a while after I finished writing it. If you want to go deeper, I've linked some of the key sources in the description below, including the original Stony Brook fMRI study on romantic rejection, the excavation reports on the lovers of Valdaro, and Frank Marlowe's ethnographic work with the Hadza. If this kind of deep history storytelling is what you're here for, subscribe. We do this every week. Drop a comment. Which part stayed with you? The two skeletons, still holding on after 5,000 years? The fact that heartbreak lights up the same part of the brain as physical pain? Or the idea that our ancestors were never, ever left to grieve alone? See you in the next one.
So I'll say this: management for heartache has become quelled in its severity over the generations. It talks about Stone Age and this and everything. You just did battle, like you just killed them, or they killed you. I would say that you had like Hammurabi and Babylonia and your early like structured civilizations that instilled law across a community that brought order to things, because natural human nature is to be reactive to as much of an extent. Even proactive is under the guise of so we don't have to be reactive. Like you're literally reacting to a reactive behavior is what proactive comes from. If you go back to Greece, whatever, the Trojan War, that was entirely caused by heartbreak. That was Paris stealing Helen from, I forget the king's name, but the king brought in his brother Agamemnon and his armies to get Helen back. Like that's how heartbreak was handled on a greater scale in times before we rationalized love to like, man, calm down, it's good. Like you don't have to salt the earth and create national enemies over heartbreak.
Yeah.
So I think your ability to quell heartbreak has been stifled over the eons, to where now it's like it's almost like a subservient husband. Not talking the heartbreak of somebody leaving, but the heartbreak of just giving yourself to a relationship where you've got this like proud dude, and then he gets chiseled away into this image of what this woman thinks she wants, and he gives herself to this because he wants a greater thing, and then he wakes up one day and realizes that he has to sit down to pee, and you've got this like rage inside you and you don't know what to do with it. You're like, well, fuck, I've tried everything else, what am I supposed to do? And that's why heartbreak nowadays looks the way it does, because it's isolated. Like I'm not allowed to siege walls and absolutely do everything back. Like the confines of society and law, and society influencing law has stopped me from being able to actually carry out any real heartbreak. I'm not allowed to do violence towards somebody, even though this person, however you want to parse blame of somebody, that the example here was somebody took your girl. Whether you blame the guy taking a girl knowing that she's taken, or blaming the girl for getting taken,
You always got to blame the girl.
Whatever it is. Oh yeah, to some degree. But what am I allowed to do at that point? Because nowadays it's a jealous ex, it's a spiteful ex flame, it's this and that and everything. It's like what am I allowed to do without really just tying myself up in the legal system? Is really it. So I blame the law, and I blame society for hiding behind law to quell any real conveyance of human emotion. Heartbreak is a very valid one, and it gets overlooked because nobody wants to look it in the mouth. It's uncomfortable to discuss. And the community themselves, they blame the society, the person, for isolating nowadays versus the community of past. I think heartbreak has become stigmatized because nobody really wants to touch that, because it's sticky. It's a sticky situation. Nobody really wants to touch it. Nobody, as a community, wants to step up and really embrace somebody in their time of hurt. So they have no choice but to isolate, and that's what they want to do anyway. So if you want to pull away and everybody lets you pull away, but that's not really what you should do, then it's a negative cycle as a society to create a toxic heartache scenario.
Fucking well said. Yeah, I don't think there's much I can add on that. Drinks his beer right after. Yeah, I mean, there's a deep rage on both sides, You got to imagine from the woman's side, too, like being completely oppressed by men for so long. And then men kind of ease up, but then you have to ease up into a fucking detriment of your fucking masculinity. So you naturally become rageful, and the cycle continues. It just repeats and repeats and repeats.
Yeah. It's almost like an armistice in like nuclear power. It's like I would love to calm down and be less of the whatever masculine this and toxic masculinity, everything they say. But not everybody's going to at the same pace that I let up. So the minute I am not watching my neck, someone's gonna swoop in and try to take my girl. Because we're not all
Idiocracy was a
discarding.
movie
No, naturally.
We're not all discarding our arms at the same time at the same rate. So if you're not trying to really protect you and yours, there's someone out there that's going to try to take the bottom line.
Yep. And the natural thing for a guy to do is to want to chill out And when
Yeah.
what happens is whenever you start chilling out, you are no longer impressing the woman that you're with.
Yep.
And that's like it just happens without you even thinking about it. Naturally, whenever you finally get the girl and you're happy and you're not looking around anymore, you just chill out. But that chilling out is going to push her away.
Yeah, I think the curve for I'm not going to say development. Women are naturally like more intellectually developed at a faster rate than dudes. But I would say from like a like desire and just like world outlook standpoint, I would say dudes got the jump on it. We're trying to fuck before women are trying to fuck, and with that we get through that phase and we're trying to settle down before women are trying to settle down. If you look at it, it's usually women in their like later 30s into 40s that you know for a fact like those oats have been completely sowed. It's all good. Whereas a dude, honestly, it's like you're trying to fuck from the time you're like 12 to like early mid 20s. If you're 28 still trying to fuck, you're the last friend in your friend group just trying to be a fucking dog. You know what I mean? The rest of your buddies, you're like the wannabe like Barney Stinson of your crowd. Everyone else is kind of pairing off. You got the Marshall and Lily. You got Robin and Ted breaking each other's hearts on and off and everything. And then the 28-year-old Barney Stinson still trying to get his is like, yeah, but like, have you considered? Whereas like, whenever they all try to calm down and shit, like let's go to the How I Met Your Mother, whatever. Marshall and Lily are stable, cool, and everything. And Lily just decides like, oh fuck, this ain't it for me. No thanks. I think whenever each person is just looking for peace, guys are looking for it before women. Whenever guys are looking for it, women are like, okay, that's not peaceful, that's boring. And then they go out, they try to find that excitement. And then it's like, all right, cool. Now, whenever you're like 45, I dare say 50, 40, 50, whatever. All right, I'm ready to settle down. It's like, nah, dog, we're all good. We all settled. I went through that heartbreak. You left. Go on with those 20, 22, 23-year-olds that you ran off with last 10 years. Keep doing that. Oh, they don't want you anymore. Gotcha. Cool. Because they're looking for stability. And if they're looking for wild, they're looking for wild their age.
And the cycle repeats.
Yep.
I don't think there's supposed to be a break from it. I think that there's just naturally supposed to be struggle, and that's what drives people forward.
I think like personal development, excitement and desire is also supposed to develop. Excitement doesn't look the same at 15 than it does 25, 35, 45. Protection doesn't look the same through those decades either. I think there just needs to be a maturity to accept that for what it is, more so than trying to conform to the same boxes. Because if you're the same person you were 10 years ago, you're the problem. If you want the same things you wanted 10 years ago, that's kind of on you too. Your needs should develop as time goes on.
Well, yeah, I'm about to find another. You down for one more video?